Can I tell you? Oh, hey there, Heather, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter. I would welcome you to another Degrassi poll video. Now, this video is actually wasn't my original intention. About a month ago, and this is being taped on November 23rd for 2021 for context, is that someone did a poll in the Degrassi Reddit 4 weeks ago, and the name is K Feld, KPHLD1. So what ends up happening is that this person, I think it's a girl, hopefully it's a girl, said that whose mental health storyline did you enjoy watching the most? And so she came out with 6. Now the problem is in the comment section, only 2 other people were mentioned, the characters. So this is technically the top 8 mental health storylines of all time. The 2 people who were not in, like the 2 characters were in, I think had a better storyline than what ended up being 6 on the list. So they'll be jumping up to levels 6 and 7. So here we go. So number 8 on the list with 7 votes in the poll is Hunter, depression and harming others. So what ends up happening is that with Hunter, things look bad. I mean, Hunter in season 14 was just this guy who was crazy about video games and even buys some photos of his sister's fellow cheerleading people. It's like Hunter's paying money to see pictures of his sister's friends, and his sister is part of this whole scheme. Ah, Jace Hunter. Yeah, I know. Hunter is Frankie's twin. But anyway, season 15 was when Hunter's problems started happening and all that. So Hunter started up a gaming club, which Simpson agrees to. And then they do a game and a role-playing game and all that. But unfortunately, the feminist club finds issue with Hunter's character models. Hunter said that the guy who did those models didn't do it right. It's their fault, not his. But they take him to task. Hunter is upset over how feminism is playing a big part in ruining his gaming club. So he decides to go after the feminist, most likely Maya, in season 15. He slips into a side entrance during a prom, but thankfully Hunter is stopped by Miles. Miles stops Hunter and basically holds him. Simpson talks to Hunter about bringing a gun to the school and references Rick Murray and all that. Hunter is then placed in a area for kids' mental health, and it's in an institution like for a couple of weeks. Strange as it sounds, Hunter does not get expelled for his actions or booted from Degrassi because of this. Now, a lot of people would probably say it's because of his dad. You know, being the mayor, he uses his mayoral powers to make Snake grovel. I think Snake didn't want to deal with Hunter. But Snake may have felt that Hunter needed help, and after getting the help, he wants to bring him back in. Hunter doesn't do a bad job. Like, he stays in the background most of the time. I know Hunter had mental health problems at the end of next class when Yale comes out as being non-binary, and Hunter doesn't know how to deal with Yale's thing, being him, her, or whatever. Unfortunately, Hunter doesn't get a straight answer from Yale saying, well, how should I address you? And of course, Hunter gets berated by a lot of his friends saying that, you know, if Yale's non-binary, how are we supposed to deal with Hunter? Hunter breaks up with Yale, and a lot of people thought he was just transphobic and all that, but Hunter wasn't. Hunter just liked girls. Simple as that. All right, so adding into the list at number 7 is Fiona's alcoholism and being abused and all that. Fiona was this girl that was brought in season 9 as a twin to Declan. And Declan had eyes for Holly J. And Fiona was not too happy with the fact that Declan was dating Holly J because Holly J seemed to be a dick towards Fiona. So Fiona tries to kiss Declan, trying to keep Declan around so that she doesn't lose Declan as a twin. But it causes a lot of issues. However, Fiona soon falls into alcoholism after realizing her boyfriend Bobby abused her. Bobby was guilty. Fiona won the case, but Fiona's alcoholism brought a lot of questions about her sobriety and her testimony at trial. Being nervous about her trial made her drink and all that. Fiona had to get the help she needed and all that. On top of that, Fiona actually has a crush on Holly J. And I think in a way to get Holly J to like her, Fiona helps Holly J out with her kidney problems. Holly J's birth mother wanted $2,000 for the kidney. Holly J's like, why do you want the money? And the mother said, because I have to take care of 2 kids, and without me working, how am I going to support them? So Fiona buys Holly's mother's dress for $2,000 and helps Holly J get her kidney. I think it was a way to make Holly J feel attention towards her. But Fiona never seems to tell Holly J about her attraction, about the attraction to Holly J Sinclair. I don't know why Fiona didn't just tell Holly J that she felt like she liked Holly. But yeah, an abusive boyfriend can lead to a lot of troubles. All right, so number 6 on the list, and I'm surprised this wasn't mentioned, but Eli, with his PTSD and depression and by being bipolar. Why was he not in the top 6 in the poll in the first place? I feel that Eli was great and all that, but going off to his meds, being a bit bipolar and all that, Claire not understanding his issues. That's one thing. But Eli suffered from PTSD, especially when he finds Cam's body in Bittersweet Symphony. But thanks to help from his dad and Principal Simpson, Eli feels a lot better about himself. It's good that Eli's dad helped Eli deal with his problems and all that. I mean, I would definitely have PTSD if I saw a gruesome body and all that. Like, Eli was reminded by Simpson that Simpson also saw a graphic body. Claude Tanner, when Claude killed himself in Degrassi High, he was the one who found Claude in the stall and had to deal with a lot of things. All right, so number 5 with 25 votes was Esme. Trauma and others unspecified. So Esme was introduced, Next Class season 2 or 3, I can't remember. But anyway, Esme was this decent person, but she had a lot of quirks to her. She didn't like blood. She always kept her hair braided in such a way. She wore sweaters that reminded her of it being Granny. She was manipulative as fuck. Getting Miles into trouble over a pair of scissors, she would get people in trouble. She would manipulate them, in a sense. Esme was a hero for, Esme and Sig were screwing around on the roof, and they find Maya on the roof, and, Maya, and the effects of Maya's pills getting in her system, and Esme knew that, she saw her mother kill herself in front of Esme at age 10, and knew that you got to make sure she doesn't vomit because she could swallow her puke and die. So they saved Maya's life in a sense, and Esme feels good about herself. But once it's realized that, Esme's not getting the attention she deserves, and the fact that everyone draws towards Maya more so than her, Esme tries to destroy Maya's character in a way. And she ends up in a polyamorous relationship with Sig and Frankie to try to hang on to Sig, in a sense. Sig was supposed to take Esme to prom, but Sig and Maya end up going together by accident. And then when Esme found out that Sig was grabbing towards Maya, there was a double whammy. She wanted Sig, and she didn't like Maya. So she pushed him down the embankment during the prom, the second last episode. And, it was found, Esme didn't know that Maya actually tried to get Sig to go towards Esme, saying that Esme really needs help and all that. Of course, Esme rides up. Misses the last month of school, which automatically means that she fails her graduating year, has to come back. And Esme shows up with a motorcycle to bribe Sig. Sig says, you need help, and then Esme beats him with the motorcycle helmet before Miss Growl comes in and says, Esme, it's not too late to admit you have problems. And then, she cries in Growl's shoulder, and hopefully Esme will be better. And then during the final sequence of Next Class, I thought that Esme was in the hospital and that Sig was still visiting her, but no. It was Jonah visiting Grace because of her lungs. But anyway, yeah, Esme had troubles. Number 4 on the list with 70 votes, just missing out in the top 3. And I'm a little shocked, but I go by what they said. Was Cam with his depression and suicide. Set of thoughts. So in season 12, Cam and his hockey team is introduced as new characters in Degrassi to make things fresh. Cam comes from Kapuskasing, which is in Northern Ontario, about 10 hours away from Toronto. And all of a sudden, Cam is like, smitten with Maya. Unfortunately, the hockey team doesn't like it, especially Dallas being team captain, saying that you got to focus on hockey. You could be a great prospect, but don't let a girl like Maya hurt you. Cam also had to deal with a jealous Sig who wanted Maya for himself. So, of course, Sig manages to trigger Cam. Cam does something bad. Maya doesn't defend Cam. I mean, Maya should have, but Maya, I think, was worried about Sig and all that. And Cam tried to say that, Maya was pressured under Sig. Simpson doesn't agree. Simpson suspends him for a week. And Cam breaks down. He wants to make things right with Maya, and he kind of does. And then he decides to wait for her outside the school, giving back her stuffed animal. Unfortunately, she doesn't come. And guess who's here? Sig. And Sig tells Cam to stay out of Maya's life. Get out of her life forever. And Cam has issues. Cam tries to injure himself so he doesn't have to play hockey anymore because he's feeling pressure from his team to perform and not deal with Maya. And, Cam is far away from home. I mean, little contact with his parents. He should have more contact with his parents. He's homesick. Fair enough. I like that angle. But then, Cam decides to go to the J.T. York Memorial Garden, and in the greenhouse, kill himself. Eli sees the dead body. Either he hung himself, slashed his throat, or even did chemicals. It's possible with the chemicals. I know a lot of people said, oh, he probably just slashed himself or hung himself. But he could have also drank chemicals and looked gory and all that. I mean, Eli wouldn't make that big of a reaction. And as someone who worked in a garden center for 3 months back a few years ago, I can tell you that that's got to be good fury. So anyhow, Maya aside, Cam wanted Maya, and his death caused a lot of things, a lot of questions about suicide and all that. So anyway, that's number 4. Number 3 was Ellie with her self-harm, 73 votes. Now remember, this is from the K-Felt's poll, not my poll, but anyway, Ellie and her self-harm. So this storyline appeared to be only 1 episode, but no, it was far longer than we all thought it was. It's kind of like Maya's issues. But anyway, Ellie had a decent life, but her dad was going to the army and subsequently to Afghanistan, and her mother couldn't handle it, and her mother started drinking and becoming a drunk and rarely getting off the couch. Ellie had to take good care of her mom, and she also had a co-op at her newspaper, so she had to deal with her mom and trying to get in school. But unfortunately, the effects of helping her mom almost lose her co-op job because she keeps being late for school. So anyway, Ellie decides to try to cut her pain away with using a protractor and slashing her arm and all that. And she gets caught by Paige, who says, "Show me your arm." And then Paige decides to try to get Ellie the help she needs. Paige says, "I don't want your stupid job. I just want to make sure you're happy. You're okay." And that shows the human side of Paige. That, Paige may be scum sometimes, but she is caring to a sense. But the fact of the matter is that, Ellie gets help and all that, bit by bit from Sove. We don't see much about her therapy sessions, but she seems to be better. She's with Sean. She actually stays away from her mother because she can't deal with her mother's problems anymore. Her mother is angry about it. But after Sean moves away to Wasaga in season 4, Ellie's all by herself in the apartment. And so all of a freaking sudden, things were out of hand. And the fact of the matter is, that, Ellie's mom knew that Ellie might not come back. But she also knew that she needed to gain her daughter's trust. And her daughter's trust was all she needed. I mean, Ellie's mom was bad, but Ellie knew that she had to come back and deal with her mom. Because after all, her mom was very important to her. So anyway, yeah, that's how I feel about things. And the simple fact is that, Ellie, it wasn't Ellie's thing too. I mean, Ellie also had to deal with rejection and all that, trying to find a boyfriend, but the boyfriend liked Caitlin Ryan more. And then, in Degrassi Goes Hollywood, she has to deal with the fact that Craig likes her, but then Craig actually has a girlfriend. And Ellie almost walks into the Pacific Ocean before Craig and Marco save her butt. I think she had abandonment issues. I mean, you could probably guess that, but no, that's how it goes. Next on the list at number 2 is Maya with her 112 votes for trauma, depression, and suicide thoughts. The simple thing with Maya is that, she had a lot of things going wrong for her. She was a decent person for her first season, but by season 12, she was involved in a love triangle with Cam and Sig. I mean, she didn't really commit to either or, but she had feelings for both. And Sig was the jealous boyfriend, Cam was the doting boyfriend, and Maya didn't know what to do. Of course, Maya tried to help Cam as best she could, but Cam had deeper issues than she realized. And then, Cam killing himself, Maya was asked to say some words at the funeral, at the school singing, but she said that, suicide is selfish and all that. If he had come to me with help, I would have helped him. I mean, that's suitable. And everyone was just pushing Maya to say stuff because they knew Cam and Maya were a thing. And Sig even told Maya, saying, I feel terrible. I'm the one that may have pushed Cam over the edge. And Maya laughs him off. But unfortunately, underneath the inattentiveness, Maya was kicking herself. She's at 13. She finally decides to break down to her mother and Katie, her sister, and say that I'll never be happy again. Cam broke up with me over text. How else am I supposed to feel? But Maya is upset with herself, saying, I should have helped Cam. Why didn't I help Cam? And, it would hit her. And she's basically trying to punish herself. Geez, Maya, what are you trying to do? So, anyway, Maya has issues about her mind can't let go of Cam even for a little bit. Seasons 13 and 14, she becomes a little overprotective. Tristan thinks she's overprotective, even though Maya tries to help Tristan with his problems with Yates. And the fact that, Maya's with Miles for protection, so she can help Miles and maybe alleviate her problems about Cam. But it didn't completely work that way. Although she thinks she did, but no, it didn't work. Maya helps Sig deal with his get out of the gang and help Sig in his life. And Maya liked it. But she alleviated her guilt. And then a few years later, when Next Class happened, there was a bus crash, and then all of a sudden, all those feelings come back to her. It's like, wow, I didn't think that was it. And she spent season 3 of Next Class all drawn out and ready to kill herself, even though that seemed like she was fine. So she basically sends notes around to people and gives gifts. And then all of a sudden, Maya decides to go to the bus, take some pills, and fall asleep and may never wake up again. But she doesn't fall asleep. And 30 minutes later, she's like, what am I doing wrong? And then she decides to jump off the school roof, not realizing that the pills needed time to kick in. So she basically goes to the roof to kill herself. And then, she falls on the roof because the pills have finally come through. And Sig and Esme help her deal with the problems. So Maya spends season 4 trying to fix the problems about her depression and suicidal thoughts. All her good work almost fall flat after what happened with Sig and Esme and the prom. But Grace faithfully decides to talk to Maya, talk some sense into Maya, and so then Maya's still the same Maya. And Maya helps Esme out with her problems, telling Sig that she had to tell Miss Grell because Esme deserved a better fate, despite the fact that Esme was kind of hating on Maya. And number one, I kind of guessed this was going to happen, but it was Craig winning the 134 of the votes. So the fact of the matter is that Craig was an icon and all that. I know I mentioned in one of my other videos about Craig being overrated and all that, but his bipolar disorder was just there. I mean, there were hints that in the first few seasons of Degrassi, his bipolar problem, especially after season 2. I mean, he's introduced as someone who had been abused by his dad and all that for seemingly like no reason. Like his dad would always get mad at the worst possible time. But I theorized that Albert was probably mad that his wife Julia left him for Joey, and he's just upset and takes his aggression out on Craig because what can he do? Craig doesn't like it, but Albert still becomes a dick. And there's a lot of problems. I feel in a way that Albert was kind of an idiot. But anyway, Craig shows signs of weirdness, especially playing chicken with a train. And Sean watches him do that and saves him, thankfully. And then that's when Sean and Emma tell Joey about Craig's problem, saying that his dad is the problem, and Joey understands. Craig goes in with Joey for a while until Craig's dad gets him back, saying that he's done a lot better, he's got to be better. Unfortunately, he shows that he hasn't changed a bit. He dies in an accident. Craig doesn't know how to feel. I mean, he feels sad that he lost his dad, but he also is glad that his abuser left. Like, he still doesn't know. Terry helps him out with his problems after Craig wins Luau King to Ashley's queen, I guess in a bit of sympathy vote. That basically, he's confused. But Terry says, I had trauma with my mother dying while I was at a birthday party. So Craig seems fine, and then Craig, shows signs of being bipolar, being awkward and all that, especially juggling Manny and Ashley around as girlfriends. And he's with Ashley and all that. And by season 4, Manny has no interest of him. So Craig was awkward and all that. Joey doesn't understand why Craig is being a dick and all that. Stealing his credit card, acting out all the time. What's happening? Snake tells Joey that, I see things going. And what about his dad? Was his dad mentally healthy or not? Not really. Says the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And of course, Craig gets diagnosed being bipolar. Ashley stands by him, and then she leaves for England, and then Craig goes off the rails, in a sense. Craig seems to, be a decent guy, but, when he's off his meds, he is just terrible. He's just awkward. I hate Craig, in a sense. But, Craig's trying to deal with his life, and all of a sudden it's like, what can you do? But I think Craig being bipolar was definitely the number one storyline because it explained a lot about Craig. And maybe bipolar would have been what Esme was diagnosed if next class continued. We find out about Esme's problems. I don't know. It's just me. Anyway, I'm jumping. All right. So now I got to think about what the next video will be for Degrassi. Oh, look at this one. Look at this link. Piggybacking on a scrap. Fuck! I just did the top 8 Degrassi mental health storylines. And now I forgot I made that post to make people add on. Ah, damn it. I would have done like my own poll. You can always start all over again. Fuck that. I'm not recording things twice. I don't play that way. Kind of don't play that. I'm going to have to do an apology video. I hate doing apology videos. But what can I do? I fucked everything up. Yes, I did. Yes, you did. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Degrassiisms video. And this is kind of a topic video / an apology. When I recorded the top mental health storylines in Degrassi and all that, off of Kay Feld's thing, she had like 6, and then I added 2 in because that's what the comments said for a top 8. I completely forgot that I had done a post trying to piggyback on the whole poll thing, saying that who else had mental health issues other than those 8. So rather than having to take out my work and do it all over again and basically have to like do a top 10 or something like that, I decided to kind of make this an apology video that I completely forgot I did this thing. And there are some characters who had mental health issues in the Degrassi thing, and their plot lines were not mentioned in the top 8. I do apologize deeply for that because I know some people might not want to comment about that, but I feel it's only right to say I'm sorry. So anyway, the post I did was 20 days ago. This is being taped on November 23rd, by the way. And piggybacking off that post, mental health storylines and Degrassi characters, and I talked about the 8 people that were made. So euphoric message said Emma's eating disorder. Like she went to the hospital the next time it wasn't even mentioned. So yes, I would say that Emma having mental health problems, especially after the Rick thing, because she had PTSD that wasn't really talked about. Like she had PTSD. I mean, after all, she had a gun in her face by Rick and almost died, and then she acted out like she just didn't really care about anyone. I think she just is like, screw everybody. I want to live my life the way I want it. And if no one wants to help me, then I'll go out and do my own thing. I think Emma was trying to make herself more normal because she realized she may have screwed things up. Emma, I think, blamed herself for Rick's downfall because she thinks that she caused Rick's problems. But no, I don't think she caused Rick's problems. I think she just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm sorry. So, like, yeah, Emma's eating disorder. There was a build up to it, and I did a couple of Degrassi unpopular opinions that you should look in the Degrassi Reddit stuff on the side in Degrassi adjacent media, and it said, and the unpopular opinion, and I talked about Emma's eating disorder in a couple of play uh, videos in the playlist. Yeah, like Emma's eating disorder. It did have some roots in season 1 or season 3 when she had the problems with Shane, and then she skipped breakfast. I think she just wanted to skip past a angry Spike, feeling her mom's wrath. But Snake did the right thing by telling her all these things. So Snake was a good father figure. Yeah, Emma's eating disorder. Like there was a build up to it because Spike kicked Snake out for his treats with hot Hatzalakos. Emma was basically pushed to the limit by Manny and what's her and Spike. I don't know why Manny pushed Emma so much. Like idiot. Because Emma probably has the power to kick Manny to the curb. But yet Emma was carrying the secret about being with Peter. Why would she be with Peter and all that? But yeah, she was angry and Manny wanted to kick her out and then had a panic-induced attack. And then she went to the hospital and then, it was never mentioned again. I think it was mentioned a couple of times. I think Peter one time said, Emma, are you eating? And all that in season 6 when, Emma is contemplating who to have, Sean or Peter as a boyfriend. And then, it was actually mentioned when Spike is mad that Snake wouldn't go back to school and putting pressure on Emma in season 7, after Darcy's allegations did not hold up. She said, "You're letting Emma take control." And the last time I checked, she had an eating disorder because of this. I think Emma should have blown a gasket at Spike. One person said Drew's PTSD, which is, in the face of, Vincent Anson trying to destroy Bianca and him. And he's trying to duck Vince and all that. And, Vince brought a gun to prom and wanted to kill Drew. I wonder if he purposely shot at Adam, knowing that he was Drew's brother, or just wanted to aim for Drew, but missed. But yeah, Drew had the PTSD because, Vince nearly shot him dead, and he shot Adam. So Drew felt responsible and was nervous about things. Somebody even said, I would say Manny after choosing abortion because she got no support afterwards, and everyone pretended like it never happened. She got some support. I mean, Emma kind of supported her in a sense. Because, well, it was not at first, but Emma then understood that, she's my best friend. And if she wasn't my best friend, I'd be furious. I know Craig didn't want Manny to abort the baby, and I wouldn't have thought twice myself either. But the fact of the matter is that, Manny got support from Emma. I think Spike may have talked to her, and Emma realized she had to be there for her friend, even though that it seemed that Emma and Manny were not friends anymore. That maybe Emma just wanted to be with Manny because she felt like she can't do anything better. Or maybe trying to tell Manny, I'm the better person. I want to be you. I want to be your friend and all that. She caved. But I don't know. But yeah, like, I know. Emma said that I support Craig's argument that you shouldn't abort the baby, but she's my best friend and it is a woman's right to choose and all that. Yeah, Manny got no support. Well, she got kind of support in a sense. I mean, after all, remember, Manny's mom knew about the abortion and supported her daughter's right to choose, and the dad didn't even know about that. Someone said Darcy's multiple suicide attempts after she was raped. Yep, that's right. Darcy was raped by someone at a party. She lost her purity ring because she had sex before she had marriage. And then, even though she said it shouldn't have counted because of the fact that I was raped. And then, Darcy feels into self-loathing. I mean, she's in a Christian family that doesn't understand anything about her. So she decides to kill herself, like try to slash her wrist in the shower, and then jump off the roof and all that. However, Maddie saves her butt, and Darcy does come clean to everybody, saying that Snake didn't hurt me. I was just trying to protect my family's honor and all that. Darcy went to brat camp. Darcy got better and all that. Simpson didn't go through that far. Yeah. So yeah. There's a lot of people saying, I think Sean had PTSD after the school shooting and killing Rick by accident. Yep, that's right. Sean went through that storyline, but the storyline was like one episode, and then he was back to Westside Beach, or basically slash off the show. I think Sean knew he had troubles, and I think he was trying to stay away from Toronto because he was afraid that the cops were going to come after him. I mean, what's the Toronto cops' way to stop? They could have stopped him by telling Wasaga Beach, hey, you have somebody of ours. And that's just pure stupidity on my part. But, Sean came back in season 6. You know, let's talk about the Claude Tanner situation from Degrassi High. Like, he had his depression and anxiety and all that. Because, Claude's parents both didn't really want him. Caitlin left him high and dry, but Caitlin had a reason to because Claude left Caitlin high and dry for an animal rights protest. And Joanne tried to help Claude out, but of course Claude killed himself. He ended his mental health storyline by committing suicide, and a lot of people thought it was selfish because of him trying to get at Caitlin. And I did say it in the Degrassiisms. I talked about how there was a similarity to the Claude Tanner and the Rick Murray situations. There were several. Caitlin has had some depressive episodes with her parents' divorce in Degrassi High, I guess. Will struggled with alcoholism from trauma and depression about his parents' death. Well, his adoptive parents, I mean, his real parents didn't want him around. So Will's parents were his adoptive parents, which was shocking. But yeah, Will's becoming an alcoholic and trauma. He basically abused the system in a sense. People, like, Will's didn't grieve that death properly. And, Snake was diagnosed with PTSD for the Claude suicide. Yeah, that was. Snake, and they talked about it when Snake wasn't at school and Joey visits him at home. And Revolutionary Bell also said about Shane taking the LSD and jumping off the bridge. Well, it wouldn't be jumping off the bridge. I think he fell off the bridge, not realizing what he did. I mean, you take LSD, your reaction times are terrible, and I think he fell. Ashley was depressed with Third Party Season 1 turned emo. Well, Ashley was depressed and tried to get her friends back, but was upset that Paige forced Hazel and Terry to choose her clique over being badmouthed forever, and same with Ashley. Someone said that Jenna had depression after having the baby, even after moving in with Casey and his mom. She was stuck with most of the work. She was super lonely and exhausted, and Casey lived his life like normal and actually went with Marisol. And Paige's panic attacks and all of that. Yeah, it's weird that Paige had panic attacks. I mean, she seemed to be so perfect, and yet she fumbled through everything. And they also talk about Paige's survivor storyline after being raped, and her redemption, or unfortunately the fact that the court system let her down. I mean, if Paige had her day in court, I think prior to season 4, I think she might have won, but because of lack of evidence and all that, I'm surprised that Sobe didn't help Paige out in the court thing. I think she did in a sense, but it was inadmissible for some dumb reason. Anyway, and one even said Kathleen from Degrassi High because she had the stress of her mom being an alcoholic, kind of what Ellie had to deal with in Next Gen season 3. But in my mind, I mean, there's a lot that goes on with things. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, a lot of characters had a lot of different things. I wonder how they would have ranked in a top 10 and all that. I could just easily just do that all over again. But because I already did it and I don't want to repeat my work, and, the people who voted in Feld's poll, I mean, I feel like she deserves better. So that's why I'm not going to really ruin it for her. Like those people who voted for in her poll, their opinions matter more than me trying to rework everything. So that's just what it is. And that's taken for face value. So I apologize for not getting more straightforward and forgetting I completely wanted to change things up. But, you know, blame me, pick on me, beat the tar out of me. I don't really care. Anyway, I'm jumped on.